Welcome to Tales from the Midpack. I'm your host, Rebecca Hunt. I'll be bringing you stories from everyday runners, experts and events. Today we have the new race director of the Adelaide Summer Trail Series, Brett Crosby. Welcome, Brett.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Before we find out what this summer series has in store, let's find out a little bit more about you. You're involved in a lot of sports, but golf is your first love. This is where I do that creepy, I've been stalking you.
Yeah.
And you've said, I've had a golf club in my hand from the time I could walk. What is it that you love so much about golf?
I guess my whole family were golfers, my mum and dad, and then my grandparents as well. So it was just always, it was always sport.
Like you had no choice but to love golf.
I think I did have a choice, but I guess I did love it. You know, from a little kid, I was out playing with my grandparents during school holidays, and then I'd tag along and watch my dad play when I could. And then when I got old enough to be able to play, I couldn't wait to play. So, and then I guess it's a bit like running, and it's addictive. You know, once you get into it, and you just want to keep doing it every day. And that was me for a very long time.
Is it similar to trail running in that once you're out there on the green with the trees, you just think, where would I rather be? Like nowhere else.
Yeah, there is, and it's also that. It's beautiful to walk around and all that sort of stuff, but it's just that. I think it's that quest to try and hit that perfect shot. And you just know, like, that next one could just be the one you're waiting for. And then when you do hit that perfect shot, it's just such an amazing feeling. You just want to do it again and again.
Yeah.
And you never do. You just keep chasing it and you keep chasing it and you just get hooked. Yeah. So, no, I played it competitively, I guess, from the age of 12 through to 40, really without a break. So that was a long time.
Yeah.
And that was about the time that I then started running and got into... firstly running, which then led into triathlon.
Yeah, you described yourself as once a golfer who couldn't swim, ride or run, so I thought I'd have a crack at triathlon. So how was that experience?
Yeah, that was hard. And I'm still a very bad swimmer. But I was determined to want to do triathlon, and unfortunately you have to swim if you're going to do triathlon. Yeah. So a very bad swimmer, but I just trained enough so I wouldn't drown.
Yeah.
And so
what
I could just
gave you the bug for that?
Do you know, it was funny. I started running to get fit at only about the age of 38. And then I set myself a goal. I thought, right, I want to do a marathon. So I did the Adelaide Marathon in 2011. Ended up with a stress fracture in my foot from that. And I actually, through that whole process I actually lost like 18 kilos.
Wow.
So I used to be a lot bigger than I am now. So I was hooked, right? And I felt great and I looked better, and obviously just life was better because I was now a runner and I'm fit and all this. And then being told you got a stress fracture in your foot, you potentially can't run for 12 months. It's like, what? So that made me go and buy a bike. And I had no inclination to buy a bike whatsoever. I had no interest in cycling. But I didn't want to lose all this fitness that I'd found from doing this marathon and everything. So I bought a bike, and that was just to get me through until I could start running again. But then I fell in love with riding. Mm-hmm. Eventually got back running when the foot got better. So, and kept the riding up. And then thought, well, let's see if I can swim. And I couldn't. But I pushed on and just did enough so that I could at least finish a race. Yeah. And then again, just got hooked on triathlon. And that was just, those race day atmospheres were just incredible.
Awesome. All the things you wouldn't do until you did
them. Absolutely, yeah. No, it was great. And then pushed on and did 2 full Ironmans and probably a dozen half Ironmans.
Wow.
Yeah, so I haven't done that for a couple of years now. So I think that's behind me. But I still love running, roads, trails, plus I still cycle 3 times a week. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I did see mention of a run-in with a marsupial and you needing a new bike. What happened there? Yeah,
so that was February this year. I was on my usual Tuesday ride, which I do every single Tuesday. We go up Norton Summit and back down again.
Lovely.
Same loop every Tuesday. And I'm coming down, and it was not pitch black, it was a little bit of lighter. And anyway, there's kangaroos on the side of the road.
Oh, that marsupial.
That one. And I didn't see him until the very last minute. And then he jumped straight out in front of me. I just plowed straight into him. Smashed my bike up and cracked the bike in 3 places. I went over the handlebars, landed on my head. Spent 3 days in the spinal ward.
Yeah.
Broke 4 vertebrae in my neck. one in my back, 2 ribs.
Yeah.
I was in a neck brace for 6 weeks. So that was February this year. So that was, touch wood, that was the only accident I've had, but unfortunately it was a bad one.
It was a very bad one.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It sounds like you're lucky to be mobile.
I am very lucky not to be in a wheelchair. Yeah, very lucky. So, no, the vertebrae are there to protect the spine and the spinal cord, and while they got smashed up, they did their job of protecting the spinal cord. So I'm here to live another day.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was lucky.
Wow. And how is all the recovery going with that?
Yeah, all good. I'm pretty lucky. I can run without any pain.
Great.
Get a little bit of pain in the neck when I'm on the bike for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Because you're sort of in a different position.
Yeah.
Your neck's a bit more hunched when you're on the bike. So, but yeah, I'd probably say I'm 95%.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, very lucky.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very lucky.
So almost 3 years ago, you had a big career change.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was quite an event, and you've now established Detour Sports. So what was that journey like?
Yeah, it was forced, but it was good. I didn't realise it at the time. So I was with a company in the golf industry where I'd worked for 20 plus years, and with that particular company for 14 years. And then they had a restructure and got offered a redundancy. And then once the shock wore off, I thought, oh, this is actually really good, because I was stale and probably wanted a change anyway. So it was forced on me, and I didn't have the courage to leave because I was in a nice, comfortable place and good salary, and everything was fine. And it's hard to leave when you're in such a comfort zone. So anyway, that was forced upon me. And once the air cleared, it was like, oh, this is actually really good. Now I can do my own thing. And so always worked in sporting industry and wanted to stay in there, but wanted to work for myself. So created Detour Sports, and so now I import a few different sporting brands, and it's good. Life's good, and it's good fun. Yeah. Hard work, but the rewards are there. It's good. Yeah, good fun.
Awesome. You have quite a range of products. So tell us a bit about what you do at Detour Sports.
Yeah. So the first brand I picked up to import and distribute was the Orange Mud brand.
Yeah.
Really great brand. Still family owned out of Texas in the US. They weren't in Australia at the time, so I reached out to them and said, hey, would you like a distributor for your brand in Australia? And they were like, yeah, we've tried other distributors in the past and it hasn't worked. And so if you want to give it a go, let's talk. So we did, and so I started distributing Orange Mud in February of 2018, I think it was.
And you've become a staple at TRSA events.
I have,
stand?
Yeah, TRSA are great. Yes, I sponsor their events, and so that's been good, and sponsor some events and get there and sell some gear and get to connect directly with runners, which is fantastic. So Orange Mud was the first brand, and then picked up other smaller brands like Lily Trotter's compression socks. Done some nutrition, still distributing for Infinite, and and a few others on the go as well. It's good fun. Awesome. It's always exciting.
Yeah. Now, I met you only recently, kind of as a one-on-one when we did there was a social run that you organised in Blair National Park, which is before the Ultra Runners SA post-Corona postponed end of year awards. And in that you gave a huge thanks to Ben Hockings for all of his efforts in establishing the summer series. So what led you to put your hand up to take over this series?
Well, actually, Ben actually asked me if I was interested. Yeah. So obviously I knew Ben through sponsoring his events, like I do with TRSA events. And so I attend Ben's events and sell product and sponsor and donate prizes and all that. So I had a good relationship with Ben. Yeah. And then when he decided that he was going to move on, he just rang me one day out of the blue and said, would you be interested in chatting about this? And it wasn't something I'd ever given thought about. And then when you hang up the phone, then your brain starts going a million miles an hour. Yeah. And I'm like, I would. I'd really, really like to do this. And I'd had some event management experience in past roles in golf as well, with golf tournaments. So I had a bit of experience there. But, the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to do it. So, we chatted over several months. So one thing led to another, and here I am.
Yeah, so it's something that just kind of fell into your lap.
That's it. Now we're 7 weeks out from the first race at Anstey's Hill, and I'm frantically getting permits and everything in place now as we speak. Yeah.
Yeah, we were just discussing the intricacies of dotting all those I's, crossing the T's.
Yeah, got to do all that.
Risk assessment, always fun.
Correct, and now COVID's obviously
yes
kicked in and thrown another element there.
Yeah, have the COVID-19 considerations had much effect on how you organise Anstey?
Look, I think I've been pretty lucky in that my first event being in December, there's been a lot of other events go before me. So it appears that things are pretty much back to normal. And I think the only difference will be runners are pretty much educated now they need to be self-sufficient. So I think the days of having aid stations providing food and drinks might be on hold for a little while longer. But apart from that, hopefully by Anstey's Hill we should be pretty much running a normal race. Yeah. Just with that exception of the food and drinks, something we still need to work through. So.
Yeah, I saw you'd followed the trend of making the series cup free.
Yes, yes.
And you even got your own branded 300ml soft flask with Adelaide Trail runners on it, so that runners can help carry water. I think, are they also available to buy on the day if you've turned up and forgotten?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They can be bought online, or I'll have them there on the day. Yeah,
great.
Yeah, and a lot of races, TRSA races as well, are all going cup free. It's just good for the environment as well, especially when you're running in national parks too.
I remember the first race they did that, and it was just after I'd done City to Bay, and I'd just been disgusted by all the cups on the ground, and they were handing out icy poles with the plastic wrap and these little face wipes that you then just threw over the ground. It was just a sea of rubbish in this event. So it was like a breath of fresh air when they went cup free. It was like, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good to see everyone else is doing that. What are some other ways that the way you're organising the events helps look after our beautiful trails, some of the other environmental considerations?
Oh, gee. You have to be, obviously, with someone goes out and does the course marking for you the day before, and you just have to then you have to demark the course afterwards. You don't want to leave any signs and stakes lying around, so you have to make sure you've pretty much just leave the place exactly how you find it. We're very lucky and fortunate to have such amazing parks around Adelaide, all within half an hour really of the CBD. So we're very lucky to be able to use them. So I think philosophy is just leave them as you find them. Don't leave anything around, and again, going cupless is just one small step there too. Yeah.
Now you put up the series and being able to enter that a while ago. How's the response been to the series so far?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Yeah, I think generally people tend to leave their entries until the very last minute, and I'll put my hand up on one. I think that's fair enough too. In case of injury or work commitments or anything might come up.
Or at this point, restrictions might change.
Yeah. Fortunately, fingers crossed. Hopefully, we should be okay now.
Good.
But it's funny. I put a post out during the week just advising of early bird pricing will end at the end of October, and then of course you get a few little flutter of entries coming quickly. That's all good. Now entries are coming along nicely. So it's good.
Yeah. And how's it been going finding volunteers for the first event?
Volunteers, I haven't really pushed that one too hard just yet. I'm just going to let TRSA still have one more event to run at Stir Gorge. And then once they're done, they're finished for the summer. So then I'll sort of... Okay. So this is... I'm respectful of TRSA's time, and they do a fantastic job of trail running events in SA. So once their final event's out of the way, then I'll be a little bit more proactive in getting myself
for organised. The following events.
Yeah. So I'll use some family members where possible.
Oh, yeah?
So, cheapest labour you can get is your family. Yeah.
So Anstey is December 6th, and as you said, end of October is when early bird pricing ends. Yes. You did post a cheeky question. How many times would you like to go up Torture Hill during race 1 at Anstey Hill? And I saw that 0 was not an option.
0 is not an option.
No. So are you making course changes to the courses? Can we expect any tougher trails?
Yeah, we can. Anstey's will be a very different course to last year. I'm lucky I've got Neil Scrimgeour, who's a very experienced local trail runner.
Yeah, I got to hike with him a little bit in Tim's 200 mile.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Properly,
yeah, good. No, he's a nice guy. I'm very passionate about trail running. So Neil's helping me with some of the course creations as well.
Great.
So he's created a brand new course for Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't put that one on the website just yet, although it's nearly ready to go. Anstey, the courses are on the website. So we only go up Torture Hill once.
Okay.
But to be honest, I don't think that's actually the worst hill.
Okay.
What's the other one called? I think I get some of the names mixed up. I think it's called Wildflower. And that's like 3 times as long as Torture. So there's pretty much, that's all walking. But we only go up that once as well. Okay. And it's within the first kilometre of the race too.
Oh, okay.
So you get it out of the way early.
Okay.
And that was a blame Neil. I did a hashtag blame Neil. So he suggested we go up there. So I'm like, okay. Yeah, so that'll be courses. Belair will probably keep the same as last year.
Yeah.
And then race 4, it'll be very different because we're in a different location.
Yeah. You made a switch from O'Halloran Hill to Onkaparinga,
yeah,
I believe.
Yes.
So what motivated that change?
Good question. I went out there earlier in the year because I had never run at O'Halloran Hill myself. So I went out there for a run and thought I'll check it all out. And it just felt like I was running in a mountain bike park.
I have to agree. I often wonder, am I in the way?
I did. I just felt like I was in the way.
Yeah.
And O'Halloran Hill has just had some major upgrades for all their mountain biking tracks, and it's a mecca for mountain biking. I just didn't feel right being there, and I thought, wow, imagine going and throwing in 500 trail runners and got all these kids out there with their parents trying to mountain bike. So then I just thought, have we got another option? Because I live on the northeast side of town as well. So, and I'd sort of known of this Onkaparinga, and I just drove down there one day. I thought, I'm just going to go and check it out. And I was blown away by how beautiful it is. I don't know if you've run in there or not, but it's...
I tried recently to find a trail that someone recommended, but I was totally on the wrong track.
Yeah, so it's beautiful down there. So been down there twice now, and I've made up some tentative loops. It was just beautiful. So I went and I've had 2 visits down there now, run a variety of loops. And both times I went down, it was horrible weather. There was lots of mud and rain and water everywhere, and it was still stunning. Some of the paths I couldn't access because the river was flowing so strong, but we won't have that trouble in February. And I noticed that, and TRSA don't do a race there either. And so I thought, why not take it to a new location? And there's been a few positive comments about that. A lot of people happy to move away from O'Halloran and try somewhere new. So that'll be exciting. Yeah, it's a really beautiful park.
Yeah, great. Each area is amazing in its own way. As I said, we've got beautiful trails here, but what are some of your favourite features of the 4 areas you're holding the series in?
Oh dear, it's a good question.
Like each one offers its own.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Anstey's is unique in that Anstey is a very small park. Mm-hmm. The whole entire perimeter is only about 8 kilometres. So you do have to do a bit of looping around there. And I don't live too far from Anstey's. And the number of kangaroos out there is just there's hundreds and hundreds of them. So that's beautiful, and you can get some nice city views from up there. So I love that about Anstey's. It's nice solid paths as well. It's pretty good. You can't get lost.
Yeah.
Cleveland's just huge. There's so much to explore in Cleveland. And when I first started trail running, I remember Wine Shanty was one of the first tracks I got introduced to, and just loved Wine Shanty. And still today, probably Wine Shanty is one of my favourite tracks. And so I did say to Neil, I said, Neil, if we can incorporate Wine Shanty, please, I'd love to, because it's such a beautiful track. Belair is beautiful as well for all the same reasons. It's just you've got views, and you've just got. It's a big park. It's a great setting for racing in terms of you've got ovals and lots of facilities, so that car parking is good. So that's actually a really great venue for an event. And then Onkaparinga, that'll be that'll be a new experience for everybody,
Yeah.
me included. So, but hopefully people will just love lots of nice flowing single tracks and where you're dodging trees and you're sort of going side to side, but just beautiful and lots of elevation up and down and river views and everything. Yeah. So, and we've got a good combination of north and south and central. So yeah.
You said you've been redesigning the paths a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your aim been? Is it more about challenge or is it more about being able to show off as much as the parts as possible? Or?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think also as a race director, you want to make them safe. So there's a big difference if you and I are just going out for a run, the two of us, we can take all kinds of weird and go exploring in all sorts of crazy places. But when you've got 400 to 500 people, you have to keep that in mind. So you need them to be safe. You need to create a course where people won't get lost.
Sometimes it's people's first ever trail
Absolutely.
run. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you have to keep that in mind too. You know, just because I know the course as well doesn't mean everybody else does. And so that's where your course marking is very important. So safety is very important and just trying to keep people on, safe tracks that are easily accessible and not too technical for racing. I think you can go crazy when you're running on your own.
Yeah.
But when you're talking hundreds of people, you need to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Risk assessment, suddenly all this ankle stuff
Absolutely.
needs to be written in.
Yeah, absolutely. And if someone, rolls an ankle or does something dangerous, it's hard when you're in a conservation park. You can't just...
The logistics of getting to them.
The logistics if you have to get them out, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot to consider.
I see that you are offering 4 courses at each event. You've got a short, medium, long and a kids run.
Yes.
Speaking of logistics, what's that like? 4 different events getting it sorted.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it sounds. In most cases, your short and medium will just be a shortened version of your long course. Okay. So I generally would put all your efforts into creating a long course and then you just find ways to, because you want to use a lot of the same tracks for all runners, because then you have to be mindful of where you put aid stations and if you can use aid stations. So, you need to consider all those things. But it's not too bad. So you want to have shorter versions of your long course.
All right.
Yeah. And we're having staggered starting times too, similar to TRSA events. But Ben didn't do that. So Ben had everybody all starting at the same time, short, medium and long. So now I'll have the long course starting at 7:30, medium at 8, short course at 8:30.
Okay, great.
So, and the idea is to get everybody finishing roughly around the same time, which will create a nice finish line atmosphere. So,
yeah, I do like it when there's a bulk finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, personal question from me: what's the details of the kids one? How long is that going to be? And when are they starting? That'll be
pretty flexible. Yeah, they'll start just after we get all the short course finished. So the short course go at 8:30, and then we'll do the kids course at like 8:45.
Okay.
So that's we'll just wing that one really. Just see how many kids we get and what ages they are, and they're normally just sort of under 1K, just for little kids, just to give them something to do and get them involved. So we just sort of make that up as we go and see how many kids we get. Okay, great. Yeah.
How important to putting on this series have your sponsors been? I think you've got a few on board.
Absolutely, it's hard to do these events without sponsors. There's a lot of costs involved, and they're great to provide prizes and just to make the event a fun event that people, I want people to finish and go, that was really good. The sponsors help is, and having sponsors who have products or brands or services that are all connected. So we've got the guys at it. First of all, it's not really connected, but Chaffee Brothers Wines are they were connected with Ben. And then the guys at Joggers World, obviously connection there. Who else we got? We got IO Marino, who are connected with running. And then we've got PodFit and PhysioFit who are connected together. So they're I've got offices at Grange and Modbury. So they're very excited about coming on board. And glad to have them on board too. So they're going to, they plan to be there on the day and talk about the services they can provide in podiatry and physio and massage, etc. So that'll be a great experience for the runners to have them right there and chat to them about injuries or injury management or whatever. So it's good fun getting it all together.
You mentioned prizes.
Yeah.
Are they secret or?
No, it'll be more. I'm going to copy the way Ben did it last year, so it'll be more random prizes.
Okay.
So I don't want to just favour
Midpack listeners. You're in with a chance.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't believe in just loading up the fastest runners, and it could just be the fastest runners winning every event.
Yeah.
No, so they'll be random draw prizes.
Yeah.
And that's where I get to use my own brands as well. So I'll be donating a bunch of my own prizes, as well as prizes donated from our great sponsors. But yeah, I'll take on as many sponsors as we can. The more prizes we can donate and more people we can give prizes to, the better. So yeah, it's all good fun.
Excellent. So Trail Summer Series is obviously consuming a lot of your time. A lot of your time. Do you have any running events in the works for yourself? Do you have time for that?
I don't. No, I don't. I guess my Sundays I do run myself. I don't run the TRSA events because I'm working them. And then when I'm not doing one of those, I go exploring for new routes and new courses, or trying to create courses and maps for my coming up races. So, which is good fun. I enjoy that. So no, I don't have any races planned at this stage.
No races planned.
No.
Although you do have something in the works. You've advertised a save the date for January 31st, something about a teams event.
Yeah, so I've had this idea for quite a while, and I guess I don't understand why it's never been done before. I come from, I guess, triathlon and cycling and golf and whatever. There's always teams elements as well as individual, and so I just wanted to put on a teams event. So runners will run in teams of 2. So there'll be no individual timings, no individual prizes, it's just teams. So you have to cross the line with your buddy. We'll have men's, women's and also mixed teams.
Yeah.
Still working through the age categories. But yeah, so I'm excited to put that on, and I think it'll just be good fun to run with your buddy and the banter that you can have with your team. And I really want to have like a best dressed award and things like that, just to make it real fun.
Michelle Hanlon, do you get that? Best dressed award. Yeah.
So I'll be watching, and so if anyone goes to the effort to dress up together as a team, we'll put on some prizes for the people that go to the effort. So so that's January 31, and I'm looking to do that around the base of Black Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, so we won't go all the way up to the summit. I want to keep it reasonably friendly. So around, I think it's called Wadmore Park, which is near Foxfield Oval.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. There's some nice tracks in there, so we'll start through there and then we head up through sort of Ghost Tree Gully track, I think. So we'll do a little bit of that.
Don't know it well.
Yeah.
I was there recently and saw a fox on Foxfield Oval. I was very happy about that.
Yeah, a lot of kangaroos through there as well, a lot of foxes,
Yeah.
So, that's still a work in progress, but that looks like that's going to go ahead.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
there was a little hint of something else, which is
I've got a
super secret.
I've got a few options up my sleeve just to add a 5th race to the series for the following year. I've got a sort of date penciled in November. So instead of race 1 being at Anstey's Hill in December, I'll have race 1 will be in November.
Yeah.
So I'm just working through with some councils at the moment, trying to see if I can pull that off. I'm pretty certain it will go ahead, just depends on how big it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can get this council support, which I've been working on, I'll make it a really big event and target it to interstate runners as well.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of work going on in the background for that one. But if that falls through, then it'll just be, there'll still be a 5th race anyway. So we'll start in late November.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your time today, finding all about it. You still got there's a discount if you get all 4
Correct,
events,
it's a 20% discount if you do a series entry. That's right. Yeah, so
that's
it's
really
20%
great.
discount.
Cool, and thank you. And hopefully this sounds good. I forgot my microphone today, and so we're just recording on my phone, and we'll see how that works out. And we'll put links to anything that's been mentioned in the show notes, so you can check it all out. And yeah, hopefully it does sound good. We've had rain at the end and a truck going by, so we'll see. And the next one will be the post-Hyson run. So I'm going to try and get all 3 distances. There will be a 105k runner who was very untrained. That will be me, so I am scared. And obviously Belinda from our last podcast, who is super well trained, and she's going to do amazingly. You hear that, Belinda? You've got this. And then we'll also have a 30k runner, the 37k. She's highly experienced, but she's coming back post-baby, so we'll hear about what it was like for her as well. So until then, happy trails. See you on the next podcast.